Today is Wednesday, May 22, a hump day or whatever you want to call it, middle of the week. Welcome to my stock market update today. I just wanted to go over a couple of things before I get into the stocks. One is the Nasdaq pulled back 31 points today, or 0.18%, 0.18%. Thank you. And close it 16,000. If I could zoom in here, you could see 16,802 if you round up. You can see the volume, it's above average volume here, 36% above the 50-day average volume here. And the reason why is those dollar stocks again, just buying them. It's a little concerning. I guess as long as our stocks go up, we should just kind of disregard it. But the most active list on the Nasdaq is filled with like dollar stocks. So anyway, I just wanted to point out the Nasdaq isn't a power trend. The low of the session has been above the 21 for, I don't know, 12 or 13 sessions. And the 21 EMA has been above the 50 now. So we're definitely, entrenched in this power trend now and looking good. And you got to expect pullbacks from time to time, some profit taking, and that's what we saw today. You can blame it on the Fed minutes, but those were 3 weeks ago. So I don't know. Just the Nasdaq looks good. So I'm going to move on to the S&P because it's in a power trend as well. Pretty similar action here, down 0.27%. Volume not quite like the Nasdaq because they don't have all those junky stocks in there. And then the Dow Jones Industrial Average started a power trend yesterday and immediately pulled back to the 10 today, but still looking good and healthy. It was down, 0.5% today, so doing a little worse than the Nasdaq and the S&P. And of course, the Russell cannot get into a power trend, and it pulled back a little sharper today. More than 0.75% down to its 10 EMA. So the next up day, hopefully we'll start a power trend in the Russell, as the 21 has been above the 50 and the low of the session's been above the 21 for a while now. So just need an update in the Russell. Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. Anyway, I don't trade indexes. I look at stocks, and I have to mention the miners. I'm going to start off on a negative road here and then bring you back on the positive path. I've mentioned recently how these things have been on a heater, so to speak, hot as iron. And this copper stock just pulled back nearly 8% today, and you can see it's had, usually copper stocks don't move like this, or commodity stocks, and this thing's been on a roll. So for it to it just pulled back, just below its pivot area, and sliced its 21 though. So definitely a yellow caution flag there on Southern Copper. Freeport, McMoran, same thing, not quite down as much, but traded below the 21 and closed below it as well. So you don't like to see that. 1.4% below the 21. And Alcoa is another one in this group. Man, this thing has just been on a heater, and didn't pull back like the copper and Southern Copper and Freeport McMoran. And then Tech Resources, another one of these miners, pull back to its 21. CCJ, the uranium stock, yeah. So it was mostly copper was down a lot today. The commodity itself. Cameco just traded down to its 10 EMA there, so that one looks okay. You got to go to the retail names. Reporting earnings this morning was Target, and market did not like the numbers. And you can see why. Anytime you have red numbers down here, not good. So sales and earnings growth are dragging, and yeah, Target sold off today more than 8%. Big drag on the market. TJX. I don't know if you guys shop there. Anyone shops there? I don't shop there. I couldn't even tell you where one is, but TJ Maxx, it looked like it was going to break out and then pulled back. The market weakness today, but it closed at 8% of its daily range, and you don't like to see that at all. Abercrombie and Fitch is another retail name that, it's set up in a base here. I would put it on a ready list. It's above its 10 EMA by quite a bit, 2.9%, 7.1% above the 21. Just one that I'm watching here. They report earnings on the 29th, so next Wednesday. And just keeping my eye on Abercrombie and Fitch. It's because these teen trends tend to stick with us for a little while. Okay, Mod reported this morning, Modine Manufacturing. Now they had a revenue miss and sold off sharply at the beginning. I got to go to the 5-minute chart, and you could see the immediate sell off, and then it was bought up, all day pretty much. Closed a little lower, but filled the gap there. If you've seen for the previous day, it gapped lower and had a gap to fill from the prior session of 97.36, which was the low from Tuesday. It opened way below that and then climbed back, closed 70% of its 78% of its daily range. So Modine, this market is not punishing misses like that shows me that it's kind of a healthy market. Palo Alto had their earnings on Monday, and yeah, it sold off 1% Monday. Wait a minute. Okay, so that was following the report Tuesday, and then today give back 0.5%. So yeah, sold off almost 4%. Following in the billings, I don't know, billings. I don't know. There's a lot of confusion around their billings. Anyway, the market doesn't like confusion, but not that bad. I mean, it's still building the right side of the base here, still above its 21. So this is what I'm saying. The market's just not punishing. It shows the health of the market when you miss and your stock doesn't get punished. That's a good thing. All right, I'm going to move on to some of these other HVAC stocks. They did not get hurt by the Modine revenue miss. This one is fixed, and it's just still trading in this flat base pattern. Looks pretty healthy. And then Carrier Global, pulled back to the 10 today, but down, barely, a little more than 1%. And then Train Technologies, very little pullback here. And then Linux. So that's two I's in Linux, LII. And it's setting up in a base here. This one looks pretty good. If it wasn't, yeah, this one could end up on our ready list here. It was up 1% today, not affected at all by Modine. Anyway, I got to get to the drug stocks. Moderna is up 13.67% with big volume. That's usually a move we won't ignore because of the bird flu. I mean, there's always something with these guys. I shouldn't say anything. It was up 13%. Okay, with massive volume. We just leave it at that. Broke out of this stage 1 base. If you go to the weekly, look at these earnings, man. Yeah, I can't get into something like that. But if you own it, congratulations. That's a big move with volume. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. GPCR is one of those what do they call them? GLP-1 weight loss drugs, trying to get into the weight loss. And I guess they had some news today, but it was up nearly 2%. Not bad. TGTX, this is a multiple sclerosis drug. No reason or rhyme for a 6.6% move today, but the CEO definitely sandbag guidance here on this one. They have a VA contract which starts in June for $188 million, and they only guided to 260-280. So if you tack that on, that's like a 75% addition to the revenue. So once he starts including that, you can see TGTX got above its moving averages, traded down to the 21 and bounced today. So heavy short interest in TGTX. That one is starting to look a lot better above the moving averages. NVO had a fire, second fire in 2 weeks at their factory. I don't know if people from Eli Lilly are starting these fires or what. No, I don't want to start that rumor. But it was down. I mean, you can see it's just building the right side of its base. And it was on Tuesday, it was 2.5% above its 10 EMA and pulled back, and now it's 1.4% above it. So as long as the 10 and the 21 are climbing and this thing's building the right side of the base, week after week, we're going to start to see higher prices unless something changes here. Yeah, it's been up 3 weeks in a row now. So since, this looks like capitulation selling here to me on the weekly when it was down, I don't know how many weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 out of 8 weeks it was down, and then climax with this big, massive week of selling, and now it's up 3 weeks in a row. So I don't know. I think Novo Nordisk looks pretty good here. Eli Lilly, I was just joking about the virus, folks. Had an inside day today after a big move on Tuesday, it was up $19.99 or 2.55% with volume. Now today pulls back with an inside day on lighter volume. So that's really good action. And Eli Lilly, I still believe Eli Lilly is still actionable stock here around that 800 level. So this thing could really start to move once it gets above, that 801. It closed at 802 today. So yeah, I expect Lilly and Novo to have pretty good summers here. All right. I'm gonna get to another stock that was hit by the grizzly bear. Grizzly Bear Research did a hit piece on this company and just, pointed out some irregularities and some confusion, and all a short seller needs to do is arise some doubts and fear, and Wall Street, they're going to sell first and ask questions later. So this thing sold off hard in the morning. It was only down 5% today, closed at 97% of its daily range, so that's a nice bounce. You can see at the opening half hour, so this thing 20 minutes, yeah, it was down 25 40 and then bounce back to 29 and close at 29.83. So buying into the weakness there. So but if you're a grizzly bear, you put out the report and you get that 10% little, it was actually 15% sell off, and that's all they wanted, right? I mean, I don't know. For me, if there's that much doubt, because I've heard other stories and I've researched this company, it's really hard to figure out their revenues. And 2 quarters ago, they reported earnings on a Friday, and they were fantastic, and the stock ramped. And then I think it was this day, March 15th. Yeah, I think it was that day. Then the 18th, they came out on Monday and said that a couple of vendors weren't paying, and the thing really sold off, and it hasn't made it back up to that level since. And that's kind of shady stuff for me. So I stay away from that. But just wanted to let you know. It did bounce today, but it's still, if you look at the weekly chart, it's 34% off its 52-week high. And just something just going to stay away from. There's better stocks you can buy. You can buy Nvidia, which I'm going to get to in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to move on from I'm just going to go through some tech stocks. This is CLS. It's been on our ready list, and it's showing some strength today. In a week tape, it was up 2.36%, and the market was kind of weak today, but this thing was powering higher and breaking away from that base. So I might have to take it off already. This is starting to get a little extended here, 5.6% above the 10 and 10% above the 21. So probably going to continue to trend higher, but if you buy it now and it pulls back to the 10, that's going to be a loss that you don't want to take. ADI, they reported this morning. This is a semiconductor manufacturing stock. And that's the type of move you don't want to ignore here, breaking out of a base and ripping nearly 11% higher with volume. So, congrats to the longs there. Definitely one to watch on our gap list, especially with, the semiconductors doing well. All right. And another one, Intap. This is another one on our ready list here, and it's breaking away, pushing away from its base here every day, showing relative strength in today's week tape, and 5.6% above the 21. So, to me, it's extended. I'm gonna have to take it off our go list for now. All right, software names. MNDY, ever since they reported earnings and gapped higher, this thing has just seen nothing but buying. Monday, this is Monday, MNDY. They reported and had a nice response, 21% move, and every day higher, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row since that gap higher. So this thing looks fantastic, near an old standard buy point of 239, but man, just powering higher. So Monday is showing strength. It's flexing. CrowdStrike, another one on our ready list. I think it looks good. I had it last week at 320 something, then move the buy point up here. But to me, this is just building the right side of the base. It's going to take some time, probably shake out down to that 10 at least, which is what was it, 336 today, but it's going up every day because it's rising quickly. Yeah, it's going up a couple bucks every day. So CrowdStrike looks good to me. Anyway, I'm going to move on. What other? Oh, APP, some company is selling like 17 million shares, and I'm just waiting for this company to stop selling. It pulled back to its 21 today, you know, nice gap higher, but when stocks gap higher, it's kind of important to note, the low of that gap day, which is $80.67, you don't want that to be breached. And it did that a few days later at $80.01. Usually when it does that, it goes back into this gap land here and it's going to try to fill that gap at 78.28. Might have even done it today. What was the low today? 79.50. So it's still got, you know, a buck and a half to go. So I don't know. It doesn't have to fill it. I mean, it pulled back to the 21. It could bounce from there. But usually I don't like to see, you know, when stocks gap higher, you don't like to see them show weakness and trade below that low of the session that, when it gapped higher, which was $80.67. So anyway, I still like the stock. I want to buy it. I'm just waiting for an opportunity. And I don't buy dips, I buy bounces. So if it bounces, we might be into that one. All right, let's move on from the software names. Oh, I've got to go to the cryptocurrency or the digital currency or the, I don't know, Bitcoin related stocks. They have been showing, you know, Bitcoin's been on a roll. This one, this is Coinbase, undercut its 50 now, trying to rally back through here. It was up 2.5% today in a week tape. MicroStrategy, these guys are buying all the Bitcoin they can get. And this one's just forming a base here. So that one looks pretty decent. And then Mara was up on the session, then pulled back. Let's see what that looks like on a 5-minute chart. Yeah, man. So I was watching the market early, and then, man, I guess in the afternoon, this one sold off. So anyway, so I haven't even checked the price of Bitcoin. I'll do that in the morning. Anyway, I'm going to move on to just some stocks showing relative strength today. I look for that when the tape is weak. Meta platforms, you know, not giving much back. What I need to see from this stock here is it to rally back through the 50 and have these short-term moving averages start trading through the 50 and build the right side of this base here. The meta looks pretty good to me. Carvana, another stock showing strength here. Gapped higher, has not breached that low there of that session, but still kind of doing this flag type thing. We saw this with Sweet Green as well, you know, following a gap higher, just kind of flagging here. Carvana looks pretty good to me. Heavily shorted stock. CAMT, this one's beautiful. I bought it last week because it was in a, you know, ready position, and then it's been doing nothing but go higher. I'm a little nervous that it's getting, you know, a little extended from, you know, it's 21, it's 12.6% above the 21. So I would expect a pullback here at some point. It was upgraded today at B of A and, you know, up 2% in a week tape. So CAMT's looking good. VRT, which is the Vertiv Holdings, up after hours. I'll get to that in a minute. But just trending along the moving averages beautifully. It's having a little trouble with the 100 level. Last week it was at 104.76, and then it traded below it, and then it got above it, and then it traded below it. And today it's like a teeter-totter here. It was below it, then it traded above it, and then closed just slightly above it. So once it gets through that 100 level, I think it's going to be, you know, not off to the races, but it's going to continue to trade with this trend line. It's moving averages. So Vertiv looks fantastic. VST, not to be confused with VRT. This is a utility power play. Well, you know, had a big run up. Utilities typically don't trade like this, but you know, this one's kind of flagging too, and above its 10 EMA. So that one looks good. Just flat today in a week tape. And then CAVA, the restaurant, retail restaurant stock, just showing strength, you know, trending with its 10 EMA. So you can't argue with that. You know, you can't fault any stock that's above and trading with the 10 EMA. On Holdings had a nice report, nice response to the report. You know, it's only given back a little bit on one day and still looking strong. So that one's showing strength. I did show you, okay, DELL. DELL is one of these beneficiaries from the, you know, the hardware. It's a hardware stock, but the data centers, yeah, this one, it looks fantastic after the gap higher, just kind of flagging 150. It's kind of its resistance here. We'll see if it can get through there tomorrow though. And then ANET, Arista Networks, another one showing strength. After this big move here from, God, what was it, 240 to, I don't know, what did it go to over 320 here? 329, wow, and then it pulled back to its 10, that's all. So trying to bounce, but just flat on the session. We'll see what it does tomorrow and the rest of the week. And anyway, that's it for me, except for I lied. In honor of the great Steve Jobs, we have one more thing to report. Obviously, Nvidia reported tonight a 10-for-1 stock split. You can see it's up 4%. Now the options market it was 9% this morning. It was 7%. Now it's just a 4% move after hours. But it was an increased dividends and 10-for-1 stock split, and I believe it's June. But their data center numbers there was a strong beat in data centers, which should be good for Supermicro and Dell and Vertiv. And all of the data center plays really, Nvidia looks fantastic, and so if it goes to 1,000 at 10-for-1 stock split, you'll be able to buy it at $100 here in next month. And so along with Nvidia, so you should see AMD doing well tomorrow. Qualcomm, which has been on a heater anyway, doesn't need any help. Man, it's over 200 now. Geez, okay, that was quick. Should get a boost tomorrow. Same with Broadcom from this, ripple effect. You look for auxiliary plays if you don't want to buy, Nvidia. Nvidia should drive the QQQs higher tomorrow. Probably will do that, and if you're a gambler man and you own the TQQQ, it should be up. The Nvidia is going to have some halo effect with a lot of these stocks tomorrow. Okay, another stock reporting tonight was Snowflake. Had a good response, the first report from their new CEO, and he looks good, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's up 6% after hours, 5.5, not bad. So that looks pretty good. ELF reported, crushing quarter, 71% sales growth, which is 71%. Yeah, it's down from 85 and 76, but 71%. Nothing to sneeze at. They crushed earnings and sales, but they lowered guidance. They sandbag. A lot of companies do this. I think the expectation was for $3.27, and they guided to $3.25 in earnings next year. And then their revenues were, I want to say 1.27, and they guided to 1.25. So you're splitting hairs there. I would expect this dip to be bought tomorrow. We'll see. Like I said earlier, the market's not really punishing revenue miss, and it's not a revenue miss. They crushed. It's just they sandbagged their guidance, which if you follow this company very long at all, that's what they do. So anyway, ELF crushing it. We'll see how the stock responds. SNPS, I think that'll be fine though if you own ELF, which I did. I bought ELF. Anyway, Synopsys. This is a semiconductor, design. They design for semiconductors, and I would think it would be doing well, but it's down 1.4%. I didn't really look at the report. It is trading actively after hours though, so I'll have more on Synopsys in the morning. Anyway, my report tomorrow morning is going to be out early because I've got to travel. Anyway, thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.